And welcome again. We're live on YouTube and LinkedIn, bringing you another exciting episode of the Top Innovator Series. This is where we dive into proven leadership ideas, game-changing strategies, and of course, the brilliant minds behind them. I'm Joseph Martins, and I'm excited to introduce today's guest. With us today is Chuck Reynolds. Charles is the founder and CEO and CTO of Technical Systems Integrators. Charles, it's an absolute pleasure having you with us today here.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and I look forward to sharing our journey that we've been on.
And it's about the journey. You're absolutely right. So people would love to hear some insights from your journey. And let me start with some reflections maybe that you have looking back at your leadership experience. What do you think are the ingredients to your success? So if you ask yourself, what is it that brought me to where you are today? What do you think are the highlights that contribute to your success?
I am a consummate learner. My wife attributes that to some characteristics of me that, always looking at the latest thing that flew by the window and checking it out. So I get distracted a lot. But I think that's actually a big value point because, things move so fast in technology. We revamped our company. We spent 20 years in one industry and then just got completely out of that industry and moved into another industry and repeated that, right? But you just have to constantly learn so that you can figure out where your company is going, how it's evolving, what your people are doing. And then number two, I think, investing in the highest end people you can get. Early on, we did not do that. We invested in lower end people and tried to train them, and that didn't work out as well. And we've changed that strategy. Now we go hire the best at what we do, and just try to get them. And then we don't hire somebody just to fill a body. We wait till everybody's kind of overstretched and then hire additional bodies. The expertise we need, right, that our customers ask us for.
Great insights. Talk more about what happened when you didn't hire the best possible talent. Talk more about what happened there and what led to the learning, if that's possible.
Yeah, this was back before the days of automation, so we would have to step in and do more work, and we would train people, and some of them, our technology is really bleeding edge technology, both for our customers and us. So we do a lot of new things, and you have to train your people to a real large extent, and then you don't know if they're going to get it or not. And it takes you 9 months to figure that out, and then you can kind of see, all right, this guy's just not going to fit the bill. So what we've figured out is we have to hire our best customers because we'll take a lot of time and training them on the customer's dime, and then we know them, right? There's no trying them out. They've been using our tools for 5 years. They're experts at it. They don't call us unless it's a real problem. They're great to deal with. They're good interpersonal skills, and then we hire them. So we've hired from our vendors and we've hired from our customers.
Okay.
That's the lesson that we've learned.
Okay, and it's probably people who are already deeply familiar with the marketplace, with the technology, and so
absolutely, they're experts at that. They have what we need to hit the ground running day one. And our people are very expensive. They're not cheap people. We pay them well. We charge really well for them. We get that amount because what we do has a very high ROI, right? So we're very fortunate. The stuff that we deliver really has tremendous value to the customer.
Yep. When you look back at your journey, tell me what the biggest help was that you got, biggest support. What was something that was there on your way to nudge you, help you when
probably my wife. My wife is a level 3 VP of sales, turnaround specialist, did quite a number of things. And without her constant guidance, being able to bounce things off of her, she sets the bar very, very high. I think it's why one of my kids isn't married because he's, still searching for his mother. The younger one found the clone of my wife, so that worked out well. So it's about It's about finding that right person who can fill in all the spots where you need it, right? So she's not a technologist. She's a journalism major that
Yeah.
has had several startups under her business. Did some amazing things. You should probably interview her too. But what she did with her companies and bringing them to market and how she did that and transferred things, pretty remarkable actually. So I owe quite a bit of it all to her.
What was some key advice that you received, either from her or for some other mentors or trusted advisors that you had there?
Probably don't get a partner unless you absolutely have to have one. My
Okay.
first partner we kind of ended up getting rid of because he wanted to just be a chairman of the board and not a worker bee. Our company is not a lot of Indian. Everybody's an Indian. No one's a chief, right? We all
Yeah.
work, right? And not he helped me get over the hump of getting started, but then he was a drag on the company. So I would say if you could do it all alone and hire good people under you, do that. Try to not get
Okay.
partners in those things. And then timing. I think timing is so critical. There's many times, because we're in the new product business and innovation business, we go find new things, and sometimes we're just too early. Multiple times we've been too early, and very seldom are we too late. We're just too early. And then scale. When to scale, when not to scale has always been an issue of doing that, right? And we're not a large business. We're a small business. We've been as many as 25, almost 30 people, and then we've been as many as 2 people, just me and my partner, and then we redone the business. We're now growing again, adding accounts around the world. So, it's an up and down. It's been an interesting ride, to say the least.
Yep. You mentioned a couple of things already that didn't quite go as well as you were hoping, like the early hiring decisions, or maybe with your partner. Talk to me more about some of the things in your leadership journey that didn't quite go as expected, where you ran into a wall or a little stumbling block or something like that.
Well, be careful who you hire.
Yeah.
We hired a crooked bookkeeper, and she stole a lot of money from us. Right through 9/11, actually. It was pretty horrific. Fortunately, the judge threw the book at her, and we early on we were very trusting engineers, right? We hired really good people. They ran the books, and I'd look at the numbers at the top, but yeah, it was off a little bit, but that's okay. We're making money. Everybody's happy. Not worried about it. Well, she had been skimming for like 7 years, and we didn't really realize that. And that was a hard lesson to learn. It was interesting. The judge was in a law firm at the time when he was a young guy, and he had a crooked bookkeeper, and he realized how bad that hurts. And we put her away for a long time. Didn't get a lot of the money back, but learned a valuable lesson to really count the books and to have double checks and double backups on the books, and to be alert to what's going on in the books. So now we're totally on top of it. We use automation tools. We're in the automation business, and we automate all of our activities too, so that Greg and I, who's my partner, can really stay on top of that.
You touched on a couple of people decisions really that didn't quite turn out, and I'm sure there's a ton of learning in there for you. Talk to me about how you select people now. Is it instinct? Are there things that you've learned that you need to look at? Because I'm sure the bookkeeper or the partner or the early hires, they were also hired and everything looked great at the beginning, right? So what's the takeaway from these?
The takeaway is to really know who you're going to hire before you hire them, right? I think we don't look to hire somebody off the street. We only look to people who have demonstrated either knowledge in our tools or knowledge of the customer, that have just not necessarily solid references, but references that we validated. And I think that's very important, that we knew these people, we knew what they were, we saw their work. We didn't have to, during the interview process, we didn't have to test their technical knowledge, right? We really wanted to explore where do they want to be in 5 to 10 years, right? To make sure they're a right culture. We don't micromanage any of our people. We're all about our people growing. And if they have to grow outside the business, so be it. We've
Yeah.
brought several people in over the years that have left for bigger and better things. They keep calling us and say, hey, can we come back sometimes? And sometimes we say yes, and sometimes we say no. But it's just based on where they are. So I think
Yeah.
really understanding the person you're hiring before you hire them. Right?
Got it.
I think that's important. And then one other thing we do also is whenever we do hire somebody, it's a 3 months probationary period. It's not only about us testing them, it's about them testing us. Do they like us? Can they work with us? We're very hands off. We give you a job to do. If you can do it all in 2 minutes during the week, that's great. But you need to do it, right? And sometimes you need to work over the weekend, and sometimes you need to get off because your kid's sick or you got, whatever. We don't micromanage any of those situations. It's all about the performance and what we deliver, right, to our customers.
Yep.
So
That makes sense.
We want people that really take ownership of the company and its value and have pride in what they do. And we're very fortunate. We have a great team.
Yep. So we talked about the past leadership journey that led to today. Let's take a look at where you are today. Highly accomplished, right? And at the same time, you probably feel there are many areas where you could still grow, or there is so much left to do, many things to do. Tell me where you feel is something in your leadership where you get the sense you're not quite there yet. The nut isn't quite cracked yet. There is something where you would like to level up as well.
Yeah, so I've been the CTO and the guy that found the new products and laid the groundwork for it, did the sophisticated demos and proof of concept. So I kind of managed all that. We sell a very expensive product, so we don't sell a lot of them, but when we do, they're big deals with consulting and delivering of ROI. So what I've been doing is I've been investing in each one of our people to give them technology lanes that they focus on. And one of the guys that's been with us for a number of years, I've basically this year switching him to take over my CTO role, so that I'm phasing out of the CTO side of this and going into the CEO, CRO side of it more. I'm a little bit older now. My mind's not as elastic as it used to be. These young kids can, they drink from a fire hose, right? So turn them loose on the fire hose, right? And we're doing quite a bit with AI. We're revamping everything with AI across our product lines, across our internal procedures, internal things that we do. We've really adopted that in a big way, and it's giving a lot of benefit, quite a bit actually, because we code, we do, we build white papers, we build data sheets, we do all sorts of. We're applying AI to all of those things. I can't wait, quite frankly, for quantum to come, the quantum computing things, and that's going to be the next big thing. But we're still probably 5 to 10 years out before that starts to take off. But it's making that transition for me into more of a, not being the technical expert in the room all the time, but letting others do that and taking a step back and really working on the business relationship side, which I'm doing.
That doesn't sound easy, right? Letting go of a role like this, especially you're probably in love with the role, right?
Yeah, I love technology. I'm a jack of many trades, master of, right? So that kind of thing. But it is. I'm training him. I'm going to send him to a CTO, Wharton school to learn how to be a CTO better. And I consume tons of articles and information, and every time I get a question, I don't even Google anymore. I just chat GPT it, right? And you get more out of whatever you're looking at doing. So we do a lot of that. I'm investing in new tools. I use I still like to write, so I use a Remarkable notepad, the new one that's really nice. I use, Aftershock, so I can still hear but have bone conduction, microphones. I buy a new notebook computer every year and a half, 2 years, because the technology, makes me faster, right? Anything that makes me faster at my job is a great thing. So I'm a huge adopter of new technologies whenever possible.
Let me ask you one more question about the new or next CTO. Talk to me more about letting go of that particular title. Are you already at the point where you've handed it over, or are you still You are still the
I've handed the
CTO,
title
right?
over. I'm
Oh, you
not
have.
the CTO
Okay.
anymore. I've handed it
Okay.
over as of January 1st. I've
Okay.
removed it from my, email signatures and all that good stuff. And I introduced him as CTO and I introduced
Okay.
myself as CEO. Do I still get involved in some projects that I'm the technical lead on? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Fortunately, yeah. From a big picture perspective, certainly, and from an experience perspective, right?
Any
But he's
insights on
really
that,
good.
on that handing over, on that letting go of the role?
Well, probably the best thing that I've done is I've said, hey, it's going to be a 9-month process,
Okay.
right? So we're going to label you CTO, but I'm going to be co-involved on CTO operations for the next 6 to 9 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do that transition. So I
Mm-hmm.
set expectations with him that I'm still going to be emailed. I'm still going to pipe up in conversations about it, but
Got it.
I'm forcing him to take the lead. We got a couple big POVs for some big companies, and I'm going to turn it over all to him.
Yep.
And he's going to have to run it both from a sales perspective and a CTO perspective,
Yep.
which is kind of what I did for a living. So we're training him on that. He's been with us for almost 25 years, and he is great. The guy's a perfectionist, and he's done remarkable things for our company. So he has the bandwidth and the capability to do it all.
Yep.
He's a little mild mannered and he's a little risk averse. He needs to have a little more risk involved. I appreciate the risk aversion that he has. So.
Yeah. Got it. Let me ask you one last question. What is something that you think most tech executives are missing? What do you think is something they overlook? They don't quite see it, or they bring a wrong perspective to it maybe. What's something that most are missing?
That you can do more with less people.
Okay, say more. You've got to say more about that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
See in a headline. I got it now.
What does that mean, right? Well, it means that Tiger teams can outperform large groups in almost every case that I've been in, right? People look at our company, they think we're like 50 to 100 people. They have no idea that we're 10, right? And that's because of our capability, what we're able to deliver.
Yeah.
So why try to have too many people that are not A players, they're B's or C's, and instead have 1 or 2 A+ players that can do the work of many B+ players. And that is so true now with AI. AI is really all about how you ask the question, and you need to have SME, subject matter experts, who know how to ask the right question, because it's really the question that drives the answer. And if you don't ask the right questions, you won't get the right answers. So that would be my best thing, is try to do things with less people, but smarter people.
I love that thought at the end. You have to give the AI the right prompt to ask the right question. And I'm thinking, isn't that true about life in general, right?
Yeah.
If we ask,
experience is a wonderful thing. I mean, you have all these people out here that are much older. Everybody's living longer, right? And you need to tap into that expertise. I'm getting up there in age, but I don't have any desire to quit what I'm doing. I love what I do, and my wife would I'd drive her crazy if I stayed at home and just hung out. So she'd send me out. I'd be at Publix, bagging groceries, or working Home Depot and teaching people how to do plumbing or something, right? It's just I can't not be involved in it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's fun.
Awesome. And it's really shining through. Charles, thank you so much. Many thoughts that will stick with me, and I really like how fast and agile you're going through everything. And we talked earlier at the beginning of the podcast about things flying by, right? Flying outside your window, and you're watching that. That's awesome. Charles, thank you so much for being with us today.
All right. Thank you.
That's a wrap again for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to join us for the next one, and please like, subscribe, and follow us so that you don't miss the next episode. We look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, keep your brain cells active.